Welcome to Tibet This Week, where we bring you weekly news edition on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and the Central Tibetan Administration. These are the headlines. His Holiness the Dalai Lama blesses Monastery and Dharma Center in Ladakh. Sikyong continues official tour in central India. Central Tibetan Administration repudiates China's claim over choosing the next Dalai Lama. Central Tibetan Administration condoles passing away of former chief of Rashtra Sevika Samiti. The Tibet Museum concludes Year of Compassion travelling exhibition in Ladakh. Weekly lookout on celebration of the Year of Compassion. Last Sunday, His Holiness the Dalai Lama laid the foundation stone for reconstruction of the old Sikyong in late Ladakh. Upon informing the poor state of the chapel due to rain and flood as the reason for the reconstruction, His Holiness advised that it could be a blessing in disguise and spoke on Tibetans fleeing into exile in India after China's occupation of Tibet, a country of free will where Buddhism was originated.
Shushe. Hineda ya nge mido de ene koshi genge chungche. En turdur di genge chola shani. En dine su rawa rungwa su le. Ene gyaga nga sanje gichu me thoma tarsa. Ene genru chonyi lo soba tizu chegi kanda me tembe chawa gyachen drupse 다 내대 에네 레벨이 게 산제게 템베 샴디 오다 가다 내다 미시 로자다 지 숨주소라지 대야 디지네야 네 템베 샴디 후다보다 두그리 데리박스 낼데 시 하가니와 마시체 다 하가 사바시야 캬즈 더想要게 최시우도스 이버리 다 사동부 집에 할래야다 디가게 아마다 빼졌다고다 빼졌다데 빼버스 계셔버리 다 진제데 에네 천이숑 세매숑 우매숑 딘지 치니 치스 다 인저스는 다시째서 드디어야기 내말람 얘기 에네 로ye 투시.
Following that, His Holiness paid visit to Ladakh Dharma Center in Chokramsar upon the request of Ladakh Gomba Association. There, His Holiness spoke on the importance of studying Buddhist philosophy. His Holiness highlighted nuns participating in the dialectical debate during Great Prayer Festival as a new development and encouraged monks, nuns and lay people to study philosophy. Sikyong Pembasring of the Central Tibetan Administration is continuing his official engagements in central India, visited Tibetans in Odisha, Menpat and Varanasi this week. Baldan Thundup, Secretary of the Department of Home, CTA, accompanied Sikyong on this trip. This week, Sikyong attended the 15th General Body Meeting of Tibetan Women's Association, inspected and inaugurated the ongoing Bringing Back Compact Community projects toward monasteries, households, regional cooperative centers, schools, old age homes and primary healthcare centers. Sikyong is scheduled to depart for Nainital later tonight. Sikyong Pembasring and the Central Tibetan Administration spokesperson Tenzin Lekshe strongly repudiated China's claim over the reincarnation process of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The claim was reportedly made by a chairman of the so-called Tibet Autonomous Region during a press conference by the State Council Information Office this Tuesday in Beijing. Responding to a question on the matter, the chairman of the so-called Tibet Autonomous Region said, People's Republic of China holds the ultimate legitimacy over the reincarnation process of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and that it has never been for His Holiness to decide by himself. In rebuttal, Tenzin Lekshe, spokesperson of CTA, called out their announcement a blatant lie and reiterated that only His Holiness holds the right to decide on his reincarnation.
Based on the history, based on the Tibetan Buddhist traditions, the final say and the final authority on the reincarnation of His Holiness lies on His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And His Holiness has many times reiterated that His Holiness has the authority on deciding upon the reincarnation of His Holiness Dalai Lama. Nobody else. That includes the Chinese government.
Sikyong Pemba's during a public talk also emphasized that atheist regime like China trying to claim rights over this matter is strictly for political gain and has put forward 3 points on why it is for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to decide on his reincarnation matter. Central Tibetan administration condoled the passing away of Vandaniya Premilatai Made, former chief of the Rashtra Sevika Samiti and a steadfast supporter of Tibet at Nagpur, aged 96. Keeping up with the Buddhist traditions, Kalyan Domagiri on behalf of CTA sought His Holiness the Dalai Lama's blessings and prayers for Premilatai. The Tibet Museum of the Central Tibetan Administration held their second travelling exhibition titled Biography of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, subdivided into early life and responsibilities of His Holiness, meeting with Indian and world leaders, awards and honors, Kala Chakra bestowment, 4 principal commitments, and books authored and co-authored by His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Ladakh from July 19th to 2nd of August. The tour began in Zanskar from July 19th to 25th, moving to Leh from 26th to the 2nd of August at 4 different locations. CDA's leadership paid visit to their first venue in Leh on 26th of July, and Peter Pavel, the President of Czech Republic, and his delegation attended the next day. Tibet Museum also featured 2 films on His Holiness and In Search of Jewel, an animation on the process of identifying the reincarnation of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The exhibition saw the visit and curiosity of people from all walks of life and of different age groups. This week, marking the Year of Compassion, honoring the life and legacy of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the Office of Tibet, Brussels has released a series of commemorative postal stamps issued by Belgian Postal Service. The stamps will be used in all official and public correspondence throughout the Year of Compassion. The Tibet Bureau Geneva is distributing all Czech embassies within their jurisdiction copies of the book capturing the friendship between His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Václav Havel. The Office of Tibet, Canberra and Australian Tibet Council jointly hosted dinner reception for Australian All-Party Parliamentarian Group for Tibet and other dignitaries at Australia's capital. The Deputy Speaker, Sharon Claydon of the House of Representatives, attended as the chief guest and fondly recalled her meeting with His Holiness the Dalai Lama and lauded His Holiness's commitment to non-violence and universal peace. Other distinguished guests included members of parliament, senior diplomats, former senator, and former representatives of the Office of Tibet, Canberra. In Nepal, Namgyal Higher Secondary School honored His Holiness with inter-house cultural competition. That is all for this week's episode of Tibet This Week. See you in the next one.